The NBA really shouldn't have let the Warriors pull this off. But here we are. Jonathan Kuminga is back on a deal that actually suits the team, and honestly, that's just one of 3 reasons as to why I believe the Warriors might be the most slept-on team in the NBA right now. So let's start off right there with reason number 1. The whole Kuminga stalemate has finally been resolved. The restricted free agent forward agreed to a 2-year $48.5 million contract to stay with Golden State, which is massive for a couple of reasons. Most importantly, it's the deal that he didn't sign. If he had gone with the 1-year $7.9 million qualifying offer, it would have included a no-trade clause and made him an unrestricted free agent next summer. That would have been a disaster for the Warriors, because they would have been staring down the barrel of losing him for nothing. Instead, on this new deal, he's locked in at just over $24 million a season, which not only secures him for the Warriors, but also makes him a really tradable contract. If Golden State decides they're done with him, they could flip him at the deadline and get something back pretty valuable to strengthen their roster before the postseason. That's really important because his name was floating around in trade rumors all summer. Sacramento reportedly put a 3-year $63 million deal on the table as part of a sign and trade, sending over Malik Monk and a protected 2030 first rounder. But Golden State clearly had no interest in Monk. The Phoenix Suns also tried to get involved, offering Kuminga a 4-year $90 million deal, but they never really entered any serious trade talks with Golden State. And then you have a team like the Brooklyn Nets, who had a ton of salary cap space this offseason, and somehow they didn't even bother making an offer, which was honestly kind of shocking. But here's why all of this attention around Kuminga makes sense. What he did in that second round series after Curry went down with the hamstring injury was incredible. Over those last 4 games against Minnesota, he stepped up in a way that nobody could have predicted. 24.3 points per game, nearly 39% from deep, and a true shooting percentage of almost 64%. Those numbers were way above what he was doing throughout the regular season, and it really felt like his chance to audition as a future star in this league, and he delivered. So you'd think the Warriors would have locked him up immediately, right? Wrong. The problem is that when Curry was healthy, Steve Kerr flat out didn't trust Kuminga. In the biggest games of the season, Kerr wouldn't even let him play a single minute, barely seeing the floor in that first round series against Houston, and not playing in the play-in tournament games either. That kind of a thing really strained their already stretched relationship, and that's a big part of why Kuminga seriously was considering leaving. He just wants consistent minutes to develop, because he's a guy with all the physical tools: size, athleticism, ball handling, and you can just see the star potential. He just needs more time on the floor to work on the mental side of the game, and that's really the sticking point. Scoring has never been Kuminga's issue. It's all the other stuff: rebounding, help defense, and awareness. That's what's limited his opportunities. Those weaknesses were there before Golden State even traded for Jimmy Butler, but Butler's arrival made it even harder for him to see the floor. Kerr has admitted it's tough to play Butler and Kuminga together, and that only adds another layer to the whole situation. So now the Warriors basically have 2 paths. They can commit to playing him consistent minutes this season, which could keep the locker room in better spirits, and maybe even have him grow into the player he's supposed to be